So today's topic, we're going to talk about reclaiming our time as a mother. And we kind of discussed this a little bit when we were talking about feeling overwhelmed and feeling lost in motherhood and like, who are we and all this stuff. And I feel like there's a spectrum of this. And I think it really depends on who you are as a person. But the first step of reclaiming your time as a woman is honoring that the before you is gone. Like she gone. And there'll be people that like really disagree with this, but once you are a mother, your priority levels are changed completely. Like there's nothing is going to take that top spot. And so as much as you're like, well, when I was younger or when I did this, oh, thank you so much. When I was younger, I could do so much. I could do all these things. I never forgot anything. I was so good. You can fall to the victim of comparison just in your own life of you to you, right? And comparison is all that you get, right? That's like it's all you only can compare yourself to you, because if I compare myself to Megan or to Carly or to Taylor, I could start feeling pretty bad about myself, right? Because like they all regularly brush their hair. I mean, that's for sure. Your guys' hair always looks great. Like I can tell that y'all do your hair. I brush my hair once a week. Okay, so like it's just a thing. But if I compare that, I'm gonna feel like, oh gosh, but I'm never gonna be Carly. Like it's just not who I am. And so we want to fight that, but we also want to fight that comparison to our pre-kid self. And I think we should honor her, right? There's 3 phases of a woman. It's called the maiden, the mother, and the crone. Like that's like the 3 phases. And the crone is when you're that wise old woman who doesn't have her cycle anymore and you like help other women. And the mother is where we're at, and it's the largest part of our life. And the maiden is actually one of the shortest parts of our life. We're elongating it as we have kids later and later, but it's a small part of our life, but we sometimes get stuck there. And so the first thing that I would say is like in your like frustration with like, who am I as a mother and who am I as a person, like honoring what you were and kind of rediscovering who you are with your motherhood. Because you'll always end up frustrated if you're trying to be something you're not, right? If you're trying to be a friend or the lady on Instagram that you really follow or whatever. I saw a great post today and it was like 10 things that I disagree about crunchy motherhood. And I was like, okay, I'm in. I would call myself a crunchy mom. And she was like, that I can't ever go out to a restaurant. And I was like, exactly. I say this to people all the time. They're like, oh, well, we don't do this and we don't do this. And I was like, we don't do that, but we also eat at a restaurant. So like I can control all the ingredients that I want, but I'm also going to eat we ate at Cruisers last night. Is that grass-fed, grass-finished beef? No, it is not.
But was it delicious?
But it was so good, right? Did the ranch have sugar in it and that's half the reason it tastes so great? It sure did, right? But it's a treat, right? I'm not living there. I'm not eating Cruisers every day, even though the hostess did recognize me and say, it's been a while since I've seen you. I was like, yeah, we're working on our budget and also trying not to eat as much, but thanks for calling me out in front of my friends. Okay. She's like, it's been a long time since you were here. I'm like, yeah, real long. Like last year. And she was like, that was a month ago. And I was like, yeah, but farther into that. I was like, November. Literally, the hostess was like, so good to see you. And I was like, yeah, but we do live right here. So Cruisers is an easy place for us to eat. And you can do pretty big carnivore there, right? Like you don't have to. Anyway, so I'll just be done defending myself about eating at Cruisers.
Marinated chicken chunks are
so good. And it's because the teriyaki sauce is on there. And you know what the teriyaki sauce is? Sugar. It's so delicious sugar. It fires all of the receptors in our brain just like cocaine. It's because it's so good. So when you are like, God, that lollipop that kid has looks so good, you probably are in a sugar addiction, and that's okay. We all are. But then I just saw a post today about how stevia halts your fertility. And I was like, oh, now I have to look into this. I was like, everything has stevia, right? And it's a plant. It's supposed to be great. And then the woman's like, they would give women drinks of stevia in some indigenous cultures to stave off having children. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to go off of one Instagram post, but you've piqued my interest. I'll dive deep on it, ladies, and I'll come back to you all. I know. I was like, I can think of 10 things I have with stevia in my house right now. And I was like, I'm just going to release it. God, if that's what's happening, I'll just do something different. But anyway, now that I'm done on my tangent, going back to reclaiming motherhood, I think that's the first step. The first step is just like saying like, I'm never going to get all the things done that I did before, but the most important thing I am getting done. Like my kid is fed, my kid is clean, my kid is nourished, right? My kid is hopefully sleeping or has slept, you know, because I don't want you to also like persecute yourself with naps, right? Because sometimes they just don't happen. And, another person I saw on Instagram, guys, she's called like the 90s mom or whatever. She's like, we didn't have wake windows, we didn't have naps, we didn't have nothing. And she said to everyone, send me your pictures of you sleeping in weird places in the 90s. And so, and she showed all these pictures, kids sleeping in a toy box. We did, we fell. I was born in 1984. I am a 90s kid. We just fell where we fell. Like that's where you were. And there wasn't like, oh, like you should probably take a nap today or you're really grouchy. Why don't you go lay down? You just slept where you were. Fell asleep in your chair. You'll see a lot of people sharing that, like where the baby's at nighttime and maybe dinner ran a little late and your kid's like eating a bite, but they're like this. You're not a bad mom. Your kid's just tired and that's okay. So also just let me free you from the chains of my kid has to sleep these windows. My kid has to be home to have a nap. My kid, because that is very doable for your first kid. Amaya, see, I told you, it's a feat of strength. Okay, girl. The door's right over there.
I know he seems scary, but yeah, he does it every time.
Look.
He has one at home.
Oh, yeah.
He's brave.
Yeah, he's brave.
Something.
My daughter could climb to the top of that before she could crawl.
She's very, she's cautious. She doesn't do that. So when I see other children, I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that's a brave one.
Yes. Well, also, and I will tell you also, boys are very big climbers. Like, they're very big. They need that life.
She's very like we have like this. She's like,
Yeah.
baby, are you petting the baby?
But I would say like,
Can't walk forward.
go Taylor, go. She made it in time. She made it in time for all you viewers at home. But there's a lot of, with first time kids, there's a lot of paralysis around my kid needs to be home at this time, they need to eat at this time, they need to be awake for this time. And I always encourage women when they're making decisions for their first kid to think what it would be like if it was their fifth kid. Right? Like just think about like, what if this was your third or fifth kid? Like what they're like, imagine like, oh, we have to nap at 1 o'clock, but like my pickup for my daughter from preschool is 12:30. And so we're in this group of family mentorship, like of families ahead of us that mentor us so that we can officially mentor y'all. And they are like, well, you should just do quiet time every day. And we were like, just doesn't work with our life, with how our office is open and how we're here and all this stuff. It just, we don't have a single day that looks the same. But when in an ideal world, if you just can be home and you're always home in those times, it's great. And they say like, having quiet time is such an important time for kids. And we're like, just never going to happen. It's just not, unless I didn't do anything or I only stayed home. And so in our life, the way that our life is built, owning 3 businesses and having 3 kids, I can't honor that system. And so I encourage you, if you love it and you like the excuse, hi Jordan, if you like the excuse of being like, yeah, we can't come, the baby has a snap, like use it. Use it as a barrier, a boundary, like no problem at all. But also don't feel like if your kid doesn't sleep from 1 to 3 p.m. and they're grumpy in the afternoon, it's okay. It's totally okay. So that's one of the things that I would do to reclaim your time. So if you feel like your child is running your life, I would encourage you to let your child become a part of your life. And so if it means that you're going to be driving during nap time or that you want to go see a friend and the only time they're available is that time, like let them nap there or let them, hi Jordan. And so that's one of the things that I see. The second thing that I see is that when people are trying to reclaim their time, they're trying to do large things. Like they want to go out to breakfast with their friends for 3 hours, or they want to go to a workout class that's an hour long, 30 minutes away. and it's at a really hard time, right? Like, or like the one they want to go to is at 5 o'clock and their husband comes home at 5:30. And so they're trying to do these like really big things. And you can't reclaim any time without the help of your spouse. Like, and I will say this time and time again, I don't know how single mothers work. Like, I just don't know how they do it all. Are we doing knucks? Are we doing high fives? What are we doing? Okay, cool. Because without somebody to like tap in, like, how do you do it? And so, but there are women out there doing it, and power to you. The thing that I would love, if I could encourage there to be 2 single moms that support each other, right? That are like, hey, let's just do this dang thing together. Let's watch each other's kids so we can have this time to go to the workout class. Let's do things together. Let's make decisions. Let's put our kids in the same activities. Thank you, girl. Let's do that and team up, because we need a village. We need help, and we need to work together. The other thing that I would say is like the first thing I would do is try to get pockets of time. So the first pocket of time that I ever reclaimed was bedtime. So like everyone's like, well, I have to nurse my kid to sleep. And I did too, especially with my first kid. It was just easy. We laid down on the bed, I had a boob in the mouth, and then we walked away, and it was easy. Like, but he got so attached to it only being me, my husband could not put him to sleep. And so we had to transition with night weaning. Was a really helpful thing when your kid is old enough. And 2 was to have nursing be the front of the bedtime routine and not the end of the bedtime routine. So if you were going to nurse and then do bath, I actually would advise to do bath and then nurse, because if you nurse and then bath, you're going to have poop in the bath 9 times out of 10. So do a bath, get them nice and clean, nurse them, and then do something with your husband to try to start to cycle someone else putting your baby to sleep. If you guys do pump or you use formula and you can do a bottle, that's a really cool way to do it. Good catch, Jordan. Wow. But that bedtime, if you can just get that 30 minutes of freedom, and even if you can get your husband or partner to do the nursing and then they do the bath and the changing in the pajamas and the books and things, and then you have to lay down with them for a season because your baby is so little or whatever it is. But the first thing to free yourself up with is like, my kid can only sleep if they're with me. Then you want to start creating people that they can fall asleep with. Also, if you have family near to you, you're probably related to someone who is a baby whisperer but does not have children. And it's not fair that God puts that talent on people. But like my husband's brother Thomas could hold any of our children literally on his lap, and they would sit still for him. And then we would look over within 5 minutes and they would be out. And I don't know if it was his peacefulness of like non-childrenness or being, whatever it was. There's usually some, and then he also has a friend who is a dad, but is a baby whisperer. Like it doesn't matter what happens once they get in Uncle Ryan's like cradle, they're out. He's put all of our children to sleep. And sometimes that person, my kids did not sleep well on me because the smell of milk was so intoxicating. It was really hard for them to sleep. And so my husband would strap them on, whether it was in the Solly wrap or the baby wrap, and they would fall asleep. So if I was to advise any first thing, what can I do to reclaim time, is get your kid not to need you to sleep. And now if you're a wife and your husband is deployed, like you're in a hard spot. And then I would just get together with other women and again, help each other, because even if you two can get each other's kids to sleep on you and it's a different person, you train your kids. Everything that you're doing is training your kids. Like we train them to poop in a diaper and then we train them to poop in the potty. We train them to eat in the high chair. We train them to do all these things. And so you can train your child, because I'm not a believer in self-soothing. So come at me. Like I don't believe in it. If you believe in it, great. If your kid did it, awesome. We can't even self-soothe, y'all. If we're like having a hard time, right? Do we go in a room by ourselves and calm out and time out? Or do we like, can I have a hug? Like, can you be with me? Like, do you want your husband or your mom when you're not okay? We're 20 and 30 and 40 years old, and I still want my mom when I'm not okay. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think anybody self-soothes. I think we get tougher and tougher as we age. But there are unicorn babies that'll just sleep. So that would be my first advice of like how to reclaim that time and how to just get to the point where you have 30 minutes. And then what can you do with 30 minutes? Now, for some women, like my two best friends, a clean house is like their peacefulness. Like they love to have the kitchen all put away, the dishes washed. That does nothing for me. It literally does nothing for me. I could go to bed with dirty dishes in the sink forever, but my best friends are people who are like, if there's dishes in the sink, they're thinking about them as they're laying in their bed. Like it bothers them. So for all of you could use that 30 minutes to tidy up. Another thing that people I've seen as their family grows is that one parent is doing bedtime and the other parent is cleaning up. So there's nobody, and this is a topic that we like have to have with our husbands. It's like nobody is getting to chill out while the other one is doing it unless it's agreed upon, right? And we talked about this last week. A lot of people were like, well, my husband sits on, he's like, I just need a minute. Like, okay, well, we can have minutes when everybody's asleep and the house is asleep, right? But that's a hard conversation to have, and they're tired, and we do that too. Like, we understand that. And there's some days my husband comes home and he's like, I am fried. It's not every day, but I'm like, okay, I'll put the kids to bed tonight. Like, I see that you're a 0 out of 10. But usually he's coming home and I'm a 2 out of 10, and he's just like hopping right in and being a part of it. But that's only because I've told him, like, this is what I need. Like, this is what I need help with. The other thing that I do in my life is the morning. So again, I'm a spoiled brat. My husband doesn't need sleep. Like, he doesn't need sleep at all. I need as much sleep as I can human possibly get. But because I'm a mother, I revenge not sleep. And this is the thing I think that starts to really hurt moms and make them feel overwhelmed and make them feel not okay, is that we're staying up after bedtime for an enormously long time and exhausting ourselves because we feel like it's the only time we get to be us. And I will tell you that that is not real, because you're hormonally destroying yourself and you regret it every morning. Like, every once in a while, stay up and watch your shows, but that revenge sleep can really start to be something that wears away on your ability to be kind to your kids and to your partner. It can really and I'm a reader. Like, sometimes I'm reading such a good book, I'm like, I've got to stop. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's 11:46. Like, what am I doing? But really, if we can be in bed at between 9 and 10 and sleeping around at 10, you're going to feel hormonally well. Because it's really important to sleep. And every hour that you have of sleep before midnight is worth 2 hours of sleep after midnight to your body. So like every hour you sleep in the evening time, it's a powerful boost. So like you sleep 3 hours before midnight, it's like sleeping from 12 to 6. So you get deeper sleep, and because of what part, your body has a clock that it cycles your organs, cleansing and doing all that stuff. No matter what time of like day you are, if you see the sun or you don't, at between 9 and 12, your hormones recycle, your adrenal glands go through it. A lot of people wake up between 2 and 4, and that's when their gallbladder and their liver cycle. So what I'll see people is they're either having an issue with their gallbladder, like digesting fats or things, and if they wake up in that time and it's their liver, they're either drinking too much, which is not typical for my moms. 2, they're pissed. So anger is the emotion that's associated with the liver. And so if they're super angry, resentful of their husband, resentful about their kids, resentful about some sort of family dynamic, I will see women paralyzingly waking up between 2 and 4 a.m. and they don't know why. And then they'll be like, oh, it's the liver, so I'm going to take choline, and I'm going to do nettle tea, and I'm going to have milk thistle, and I'm going to clean all this stuff. And they're like, no matter what I do, doc, I just wake up at this time. This is very, very apparent in menopausal women, who are dealing with an empty nest and their family growing and all these different things. And there's a lot of resentment there. And so we have, like, I'm always talking to them, like, who are you mad at? Like, and they're like, I'm not mad at anybody. I'm like, who are you mad at? We're all mad at somebody, but we don't all let it take over. But these are things that, like, when I'm talking to somebody and they're like, I can't sleep, or I go to sleep fine and I always wake up. I'm like, when do you wake up? Because your body has a clock. And you can if you look up Chinese body clock this is like Eastern medicine. If you look up Chinese body clock, there's images, you'll get all these things and you'll see when parts of your body. So like your digestive system kicks off at 6 or 7 a.m., if I'm remembering correctly. And so your digestive fire is highest when you wake up, when everyone skips breakfast. I'm like, if you want an intermittent fast, skip dinner, eat breakfast. so powerful for you. Megan and her husband and I have been talking about breakfast for like 7 weeks straight, it feels like. Her husband's like, but what about this? But what about this? What about this? And I was like, oh, I'm ready to talk about it, my dude. Like, you need to eat a savory breakfast. And he was like, yeah, my protein shake. I'm like, that doesn't count. And he was like, what? And so, yeah. Well, and having a cold breakfast is also really hard on your digestive fire. So again, I'll have women who are like, well, I wake up and I'm super sluggish in the morning. So the first thing we address is revenge sleep, which is when you stay up too late because it's the only time you have to yourself. And then the second thing I'll be like, what do you eat breakfast? And they'll all say, no, or I have a smoothie. Smoothies are terrible for you. They're not terrible for you. They have great things in them, but they're cold. So that's really hard for your body. Your body has to warm up everything in the smoothie. And then you also drink them so fast that your body doesn't know that you're eating. And nobody chews their smoothie. But they have protein in there. They have lots of fiber, lots of things. All the digestion starts in the mouth for carbs. And if it's just flying through your mouth, it doesn't get that time to digest. So then they're like, well, I feel really bloated and nasty if I eat breakfast. And I'm like, how much water are you drinking in the morning? And they're like, oh, I'm so dehydrated. And I'm like, cool. Can we try to drink at night? Hey, baby. Yeah. So you should drink 8 ounces of warm water. I do. Yeah, with lemon. It's really great. Yeah. Yeah, so cold water. So there's also, I mean, there's so many things we could talk about in this, guys. In Ayurveda, which is a really cool Eastern way of thinking about how the body is, there's like 3 or 4 main kinds of fire you are. Like there's Vata and Pitta, and there's 2 other ones. I can't remember what they're called. And you are dominant in one of them. And you shift as you go through seasons. And so if you worked with an Ayurvedic practitioner, they would actually like see how your pulse beats, and it tells you what is dominant in you and if you shouldn't. So like I had a woman, the woman who taught me this, she was told like, if you're going to have a baby in the winter, don't have them in the water. And they were like, why? Well, because in the winter, whatever the one of those words is higher. And so it wouldn't suit your baby to be born underwater in that time based on the energy. Such cool stuff. And the way she explained, I'm doing a terrible job explaining it. The way she explained it meant so much more sense. And so she was like, so can I labor in the tub? He's like, yeah, totally labor in the tub, but do not deliver in the tub. And so she was like, okay, I'll take this advice, because she really respects her teacher. Yeah. Yeah. So there's all, I mean, I don't know enough about this. Again, there's so many things that I want to learn. But I thought it was super, you turn that off. Turn it off.
It's so interesting. I was after birth, like postpartum.
He has his Yoda on.
She consulted with Alyssa a lot too.
Yeah, Alyssa has so much wisdom.
Yeah, she gives me a bunch of herbs before I had him, because my blood pressure was kind of on the line of home birth or not.
Yeah. It's like herbs and stuff is so amazing. The other thing I think is like when people are like, oh, for the first 40 days you shouldn't have anything cold. It's like a whole thing. But the reason that is because the baby inside of you keeps you so hot, like it keeps you so warm that when the baby comes out, like if you quench that warmth, it's harder to heal. Like when we ovulate and our temperature rises, like our temperature is a full degree higher in our entire body, because that's a very healthy thing for you to have 2 weeks with an elevated temperature. And so there's so much to staying warm and eating warm. And then in the winter, like we're in, like we have to work so much harder to stay warm. So when people are like, yeah, I'm having ice water in the morning and a smoothie, and I don't know why I feel bad all day. And I'm like, because you're cold, girl. Like you cold. But that's a fun tangent again. But I also think that when we want to get back to the point of our talk, and I'll just wrap it up, when we're thinking about reclaiming our time, there's things that I would encourage you to outsource. And sometimes we can feel really overwhelmed by our house or whatever, and maybe you guys aren't in a financial time to like outsource, like somebody comes and cleans my house or somebody does these things. But the thing that is so fun is to do it with somebody with you, right? I don't know if you remember, but sometimes your mom would ask you to clean the room and you're like, can you just sit on the bed while I do it? Or like if a girlfriend comes over and you're like, oh, this is great. I folded all of my laundry because I just got to talk to you. And the girlfriend doesn't even have to help you with it, but you're just happy that someone else is there and like you can like just have a good time. And so the other thing that I would encourage so many women to do is to like have a work day in your house with a friend. And if you have a really close girlfriend and you can say like, hey, on Thursdays, do you want to alternate every other week and we'll just come over and I'll catch up on my laundry. And then like you can just stand in my kitchen with me and talk to me and we'll make tea and I'll do my dishes. Like, and just having this thing where you get together and it's normal that you're going to clean. It's not like, oh, Erica, you're coming over. I'm going to clean my entire house so that it's ready for you. My girlfriends, when I was having Honora's first birthday, came over and cleaned my house before the party. They're like, because I don't have a clean house, y'all. Okay. People are like, how do you do it all? We don't. Somebody asked Dr. Vin, they're like, how do you homeschool and have a business and do all this stuff and have these talks and do all this stuff? And I was like, we don't do it very well. And also our house is very messy. And my best friend Jen, who's always like, oh, like she has such a clean, immaculate house and she doesn't keep anything. I'm also a hoarder. Like I'm a very sentimental person. I don't hoard trash, but I have so many things that were my mother's because both my parents are in heaven. We have so many books. What happened? What did you do? What did you do? Did you take that from her? What is it?
It's like a really, really tiny Lego, but
Can I see it? She probably took it from her. Can I see it? Can you show me? Let me see it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Nora.
not her. No, Amanda. No. She seems angry, not her.
You okay? What happened?
Um,
Did she give you something small and then
Hey.
but also,
Not before.
side talk. People are like, oh gosh, I don't have anything small in my house because kids are going to put it in their mouth and swallow it. First of all, if your kids swallowed this Lego, it would just come out. Just want to tell you. Like, I just want to tell you, my daughter Karen's first food was mulch, okay? But this is still terrifying. Literally the only thing to be like super scared of your kids swallowing is one of those flat batteries because it eats through their esophagus and like makes a hole in their body, okay? Or glass. Obviously glass would suck, or a pen. But everyone's like always panicking with their first kid about like tiny stuff. Like Honora just put this in her mouth and took it out. She knows it's not food. But your third kid is going to be around Legos because you're going to have a 7-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 9-year-old. And they'll survive. They'll survive. But that's what just happened. Nora, you just love Amaya today.
So cute.
No, you're not going to take it.
I love her little hearts. Hey, they kind of are matching.
Yeah, they match. Can you give one to Amaya, please? Can you give her one? Hey. Can you give her this? Can you give her this? Can you go give that to Amaya?
No, I would have put her in the dress and overalls. But I'm scared to have her in a dress in the car now.
Why?
After that one time.
Oh. It won't happen all the time. But you're definitely going to have poop in your car seat again. It never ends. But you could get little tiny shorts.
Yeah.
You get little tiny shorts for sure. But those would be my tips. And then anything that you want to ask about or are frustrated about, it's open for discussion. But those are my biggest tips would be to give away bedtime, if you can, if it's feasible, because it's going to help you feel more sane. And if you, yeah, go ahead, no.
I think what I'm most frustrated with right now is she's never really napped more than like 25 minutes, which is like enough time to like pee and like
Yeah.
look at the dishes. You know? Like it's definitely not enough time to do all of the dishes and then also get any sort of like work or anything else done. So it's just, I mean, we drop longer than 25 minutes. Yeah, and it takes me, 13 months. And she was only napping twice a day. I dropped the third nap. I don't know that she's quite ready to drop the
No,
second one.
probably not.
I mean, on like a really busy day.
Does she sleep great at night?
Oh yeah, pretty good. She She doesn't really like wake up. She wakes up to like nurse for like 2 minutes and then we're back asleep.
So most kids who suck at napping are incredible night sleepers. And most kids who are awesome nappers suck at night. So you have a two-sided coin here where there's, like, my kids wake up three to 6 times a night, but they sleep for 2.5 hours. Like yesterday when I was here at the cottage, Honora slept there for an hour and a half, and she had slept in here for an hour. She just like coughed herself awake and then went back down. And so she's incredible, but then she wakes up every night, no matter what, and demands agua. And sometimes,
Yeah, Evelyn doesn't like actually wake up.
Yeah.
She kind of rests around.
Kate's the same way. It's great naps, sleeping naps. Naps are easy.
yeah. Night.
Wants cuddling and water. Water.
I mean, the desperation for agua in the middle of the night. It's agua. Like it's literally like within seconds. If you don't have a straw in their mouth, like, oh my goodness. Yeah.
I like water next to my bed at night.
So I think there are temperaments to kids. So they're either amazing nappers or they're amazing night sleepers. So I would start to, and she's really at a great age, or 18 months is going to be amazing for this, but she's a great age to include her. So like I would truly sit her next to you with the dishes and like let her have her feet in the nasty dish sink and wash the dishes. And she can be there and she's really going to play, like put her in her diaper. She's going to play in the water. She's going to try and do what you're doing. Like obviously you would move knives and stuff and everything away. But like if you need to get something done, include her to the process. Like just bring her along. Or just be like, if that, like, because again, I don't know what kind of girl you are. Like if you're like, my house needs to be immaculate before I go to bed, just getting Alex to be able to take over bedtime so that you could do that because it's important to you.
Or he'll do the dishes while I start bath time.
Oh, the other thing I wanted to say, I had something else I wanted to say, one more thing. So I have an open concept home. Most of us do at this point. I learned something so fascinating about the open concept home is that the reason we had walls and what was so great about walls is that if you were having a dinner party, you could cook and make your kitchen destroyed, and then you would leave that room and bring it into the dining room, and it would be this beautiful, and you don't worry about the kitchen. Like the kitchen isn't something that you feel like your island needs to be perfectly clean. But when we took that wall away, we also increased our stress. So if you can sit in your living room and you can look all the way across your house and see destruction, which every person with kids has, especially multiple kids, that is so overwhelming to your mind space. So I choose to sit in my house on my couch that looks out the window, and sometimes our backyard is a mess, so I just close the curtains. And I have this one space in my house that I clean. Like I clear it out, I put the toys away. I'll even throw them behind the couch where the other kids are playing on toys. But like the kids even know, like this space needs to stay neutral. And I will sit in the couch and I will only look at this much of my house. Because I need that like mental calmness, but I don't need it at the point where I'm going to stay up for 2 hours and clean my house at night. Because I have 4 people working against me. My husband, my 6.5-year-old, my 4.5-year-old, and my sweet baby 1.5-year-old who empties every cabinet and everything that she can get her hands on. And so when I say, people are like, well, that's a really strong thing to say, wow, you have 4 people working against you. I really do, because like I'll follow my husband around and like I'll tell you right now, it happened in my house this morning. I put away jam. I put it away. I put away the milk he left out. I put away all this stuff, and then I walk back out and the jam's out again. And I'm just like, use it and put it away. Like, what in the world? But that's just, it's not, he doesn't think that way. And he's not doing it to be mean. He's not doing it to be like a jerk. But like I have told him, and he's pretty great about it now in our marriage. We've been married almost 8 years. I'll say, like, I have put the hamper as close to the toilet and shower as possible. Like, it's within 3 feet of where you leave your clothes. I said, it's really disrespectful to me that you do this, that I've told you this. And he's like, I just don't see it. I was like, well, ooh, bonk. Because I have said it to you, and I've told you it's important to me, I need you to see it. And it wasn't like, okay, that one conversation, it was done. But like when I'm in a good mood, I can just look at the clothes on the floor and I look at him like this. And I'm like, and then there's times when I'm in a bad mood and maybe not so much nice stuff comes out of my mouth and I'm like, you're disrespecting me. Like, and like to him, he's like, it's just clothes on the floor. It's no big deal. But it's so much more than that, especially when we're mad at you for other things. Like, just don't stack more stuff on it. What? So in our prenuptial agreement, which we don't actually have a real one, in our prenuptial agreement, we divvied up laundry and dishes. I hate dishes more than anyone. Yeah, you shut off the light. Yes. More than anyone in the world could ever hate dishes. Like, I don't like to be partially wet and partially dry. Like, that's my thing. So, like, I don't like swimming very much because I don't like to get out. Like, I'm ready to, like, swim. Okay, put it on and then we're all done. Last time. Okay, all done. Yay! And so in our prenuptial agreement, because when I met him, I went to his like apartment in the chiropractic school, and he had 9 hampers. 9. Full with clothes. His drawers were full with clothes. His closet was completely empty, and there were clothes everywhere. And I was like, what is this? Like, what are you doing? And he just was like, I hate putting away clothes. Like, I hate it. He's like, I hate doing laundry. So he would just do laundry and like leave it in the hamper. Yeah. I'm a putter awayer. Like,
I used to be that way.
no, you're not going to do that anymore.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but then it's wrinkly. And
Yeah, that's me. I have a pile.
he hates his clothes being wrinkled.
But Vincent would iron his clothes instead of putting them away.
He'd rather iron it.
Yeah.
It takes more time.
Yes. But his mother's a huge ironer. She like irons their underwear. And so when we were dating, I was like, do you want to divvy this up? And he was like, yes. He regrets it every day. He's like, because there's 3 meals of dishes every day, and I do laundry 2 days a week. That's the other thing I do. Some people say like do a load of laundry every day. Even if I do a load of laundry every day, I don't fold it that day. I fold on specific days. Like, so the day that I'm going to do it, I usually start laundry in the morning, do like 4 or 5 loads. I make a big pile, and then I fold everything and put it away. And people are like, I don't fold my kids' clothes. They don't do it. I really like to fold my kids' clothes just because, 1, I want them to see what it should be like. But 2, I read once to like pray for your family while you're folding their clothes, so you like battles your resentment. They also say to do that during the dishes. That's really hard for me because I'm just so grossed out by the food at the bottom of the sink and all that stuff. But they said to like pray for the person whose clothes you're folding and pray for your family who you're washing the dishes for. And that kind of really like changed my mind around it. The other thing is that with my almost 5 and almost 7-year-old, they now have to do their own laundry. So I do their laundry, but then they pull it out of the pile and they fold it. And probably like every 3 or 4 times I just do it because it's easier for me and that where it had landed in the week. But I only fold and do laundry on 2 days. And so he's really jealous. But I know on Friday morning, I wash my husband's clothes because he wears all of his work clothes Monday through Thursday. And he's going to wear his casual clothes Friday, Saturday, Sunday, most likely, depending on our week. And so I wash all of his work clothes, and they're done on Friday. And so that's one of the things that I would also encourage you to do is like, don't try to do everything every day. Like, it's really great to have like, on Mondays I do the bathrooms. Every Friday I change the sheets. And if you have it in your head that that's the day you do it, and I try to compress everything in our life into Monday and Thursday because we go away for the weekend for a lot of chiropractic conferences. So everything in our life happens between Monday and Thursday with complete regularity. Like, we know every Thursday at 10:30, we're going to be at the cottage, without a doubt. We know that every Tuesday and Thursday afternoon, Mommy and Daddy are both at work. Like, everything in our life is the same. So if we have Friday as a bonus day, like I can push things from this Monday to Thursday there. But most of the time I try to get all my keeper of the home things done on the same days. And that also is a really good way that I reclaim my time. Is that I'm just like, okay, I don't have to have all this laundry done, but I will be washing clothes. Like there are clothes in the washer this day. And when we're home, that's usually when I'm doing all the sheet laundry or whatever. And if we're away, I have more than one set of sheets for my beds that I like. Because some people like have one set of sheets that they like and they don't like the other ones. I'm like, can we invest in two? Can we invest in two sheets that we like so that if we're away on a Friday, which is usually the day I change the beds, like I can change the bed, but I'm not like down the sheets. I can just wash the sheets in my normal Monday through Thursday rhythm that I have. So I highly recommend a rhythm. Like I do the same things. And that's what we like created this place for, is that people are like, oh, I always come to the cottage on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Like that's when I come. This is a part of my life. Like I know on Thursday morning, my friends know on Thursday morning, I'm going to be at the cottage. So if they want to know, if they're like, hey, I miss you, I want to see you. Like, well, every Thursday morning I'm at the cottage. Like you can find me here, because this is a part of our family's rhythm, because this is also a place that we created, like have a breath of fresh air. And sometimes that's your friend's house. But if all of my friends also know that the only time I'm available to hang out is Wednesday afternoon. It's the only time that I have free in my life. And so if they're like, I haven't seen you in so long, I'm like, what are you doing Wednesday afternoon? They know this is when Bridget is available. And so, well, see, and so if you want to have one of those times, you're just like, I'm going to make sure I run my life so that no matter what, if somebody says, do you want to get together? I can say, yeah, Wednesday afternoon, I can get together. That's my zone. That's Thursday morning, that's my zone. Children are way better until noon. Like the best part of your kid's day is always going to be until their nap. And then the afternoon is just a countdown to bedtime. Yeah, it's just, and that's why a lot of people don't hang out in the afternoon. That's why the afternoon is the quietest place to the Enchanted Cottage, because people are like, I just don't know if I can venture out. But if their kid had a late nap, they might be like, the house was so clean, it was a long nap. I think we should go to the Enchanted Cottage so I don't have to clean up my house. So having something in your rhythm that's regular is really helpful if it's on the same day, because then you don't have to be like, well, what are we doing today? And this is why homeschool moms flourish, because, hey, Cade, can you drop it like a crane, buddy? Because when you throw it, you might hit a baby. Can you just drop it? Just drop it. He's like, I'm going to think about it. When you can say with certainty, like I stay home on Monday mornings, and homeschool moms flourish, that's what I was saying, because they wake up and they do this same thing for 3 hours. Every day. They can set their watch by it. Like that's where they live. Like this is what they do. And then they're like, after that, we can go for a walk. We can go to a friend's house. We can do this. Like we go from this time to this time. And that rhythm for a woman is so helpful to have like this solid thing that we do every day. And my life is not an every day is the same kind of life. And so I have these windows where I'm Monday and Wednesday mornings, I am usually taking care of my home. I'm either grocery shopping or planning meals or doing the laundry or doing that stuff. Like those are the things that I do. And then on Tuesdays and Thursdays are days that I work. So like in the morning, it's also when my husband's home. He does homeschool with my son. And so I just get a little bit more of a relaxed morning. I might be able to tie up some stuff. And then Fridays, we never know what's going to happen. We just never know. We never know what's going to happen if we're home or not. And so that's the other thing I would do to reclaim your time, is to set yourself up for success by doing this thing the same in your weekly rhythm. And if you don't travel a lot, then spread that rhythm out to 6 days. And I encourage everyone to have a Sabbath day. Have a day y'all don't do anything. And church is something. So if you go to church, there's a lot of, oh. Did he bonk you? But church is a lot. We go to church. Getting to church is a lot. Going home from church is a lot. Like Sundays are not a Sabbath day for us, because we like usually do the grocery store sometimes after church, or we'll like get together with friends Sunday after church. So like I feel like church is not the best day to have a Sabbath day, if you're asking me. I really encourage you to have like a Sabbath day on Saturday and just like chill out. You know, or if your husband works all weekend, pick a different day that you guys, like, you don't have to have a Sabbath day on the weekend, right? Like, you can have a Sabbath day on a Thursday. Like, it can be your day where you're just like, I'm not doing anything today. I'm not cleaning anything. I'm not putting anything away. We're having a charcuterie board and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches that I made yesterday. I'm not doing anything. Like, I am Sabbathing so hard. And if you can do that, I think that if you can plan a 6-day week of getting stuff done and one day where you can really just relax as a family, we've started to play games. We were really bad at this. And so in the beginning, we used our Sabbath day to just we left the house and we explored different parks. Went to a different playground every time we went. We did Fridays as a Sabbath day for a long time. Oh, cool. Thank you for that milk, Jordan. So generous. We would go hike. Like, we would go explore. Jacksonville is such a fun city to explore. There's so many parks. There's so many different kinds of playgrounds. There's so many different hiking trails. Like, it's very cool.